Hello students, how are you? I hope you are fine at your home, and today I am going to teach you a poem from your literature section. The name of the poem is Where the Mind is Without Fear. The poem is written by Rabindranath Tagore, who is one of the well-known poets of our country. And today in this video we will learn about poet, we will learn the summary of the poem. We will also know about the theme of the poem, we will learn the explanation of the poem, and we will learn the various literary devices which are used in this poem. So here first of all we will know a briefly about the poet. Rabindranath Tagore was born in the year 1861 in Calcutta in a well-known and wealthy family. He died in the year 1941. He started his career as a writer, writing poems in Bangalore language. Later he started translating them into English. In the year 1912 he published his collection of the poems, that was Gitanjali. Gitanjali was the collection of 100 poems which were written by Rabindranath Tagore. This poem was also the part of Gitanjali, and in the year 1913 he received Nobel Prize for literature. He was the first man outside Europe to receive the Nobel Prize. So it was a great achievement by the poet of our country. He also started a school in Santiniketan, which is today a national university, right? So now we will know the brief summary of the poem. In this poem is written in the form of prayer. This poem is written in the form of prayer. In this poem, poet is praying to Almighty God that the society, the country should get rid of all kind of discrimination which was prevailed in the society of our country. At that time, he also prays to Almighty God that there should not be any kind of fear amongst the citizens of this nation. He also prays to God that each and every person should have the dignity to live. They should not bend down their head. He prays to God that there should not be any kind of discrimination on the basis of caste, creed and color, religion in the society. He says that each and every citizen of this country should be free to get education. He also prays to God that he should provide, he should give the persons to this country which have the logical mind. They should think logically, they should not believe in superstitions or superstitious beliefs. He prays to God that he should create this nation a peaceful heaven, and it should be free, when the country will be free from all these types of beliefs which are not applicable, which are not good for any good society. Then the country would become just like heaven. He also prays to God that the citizens of this country should always try to move towards perfection, and if there will be perfection in the society, perfection here means they should be perfect in all types of activities. They should be perfect in education. They should be perfect in the society. There should not be any kind of discrimination. So this is the brief summary of this poem. Now I will tell you the theme of the poem. So now we will know the theme of the poem. Actually, the theme of the poem is freedom from British rule. British rule. The poet wants the freedom from the British rule, and he desires the freedom of the following things: freedom from discrimination, he also desires freedom from narrow thinking. He wants freedom from lies. The people should not speak or tell lie at all. He also desires freedom to attain knowledge. He also desires freedom of perfection. He desires freedom from casteism, superstitious beliefs. Right? So this the theme of the poem is freedom. The poet wants freedom from discrimination. He also desires freedom from narrow thinking and freedom from lies. He desires freedom to attain knowledge, means all the people should be free to get knowledge. He also desires freedom of perfection, and he also desires freedom from casteism, superstitious beliefs, superstitions. As we know that it was the policy of Britishers, divide and rule. Divide and rule. They have divided our society, and people started to hate one another. So that's why the poet asks to God, requests to God, prays to Almighty that the society should be free of or free from such things. Now I am going to explain this poem in detail. Okay, after knowing the theme summary of the poem, here we are going to learn the poem in detail. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. The poet is praying to Almighty, and he demands to God that he wants a country where there should not be any kind of fear among the residents of the nation, and the head is held high. Every person should have to live with dignity, with full honor. All the residents of the nation, all the citizens of the nation should be treated with honor. There should not be any kind of fear in the society. There should not be any kind of discrimination in the society. Where knowledge is free. As we know that during the British rule in India, only the elite, so-called elite families were allowed to get knowledge. Education was not possible for everyone. Only the puppets of the Britishers were allowed to get education. So the poet pleaded to God, requested the God that the knowledge, the education should be provided to everyone. Everybody should be free to get education. Where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. As we know that fragments means pieces. Okay. Narrow domestic walls is the metaphor for narrow-mindedness or narrow thinking. Narrow thinking or discrimination. The poet demands that his country should be free from all types of superstitious beliefs. He desires that his country should be free from all kind of narrow-mindedness, all kind of narrow thinking, and there should not be the wall of discrimination amongst the citizens of the nation. There should not be any misbelief in the society. There should not be any differentiation in the society on the basis of caste, religion and creed. This is the prayer of the poet to God. These things he demands here. Next, he says, where words come out from the depth of truth. Here, the poet again requests the God, asks to Almighty, prays to Almighty that every citizen of the country, every national of this nation should speak truth. There should not be any kind of falsehood, lies in the society. Where tireless striving stretches its arm. Here tireless striving stretches its arms. Poet is using here the literary device, that is personification. It means here he wants to say that here tireless striving stretches as treated as human being, given the human shape, okay, towards perfection. Here he says that every person, everybody, every national of this country should go towards the perfection, and they should attain perfection in their activities. They should get knowledge. They should free from all the short or narrow-mindedness. Where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. Dreary, lone or alone, right? So here the poet again demands to Almighty God, he requests to God that he wants the nation whose citizens have not lost their logical mind. They have the noble thoughts, they have the logical thinking, and they are not means the dreary desert, sand of dead habits. They do not believe in the superstitions, they do not believe in the superstitious beliefs. Such type of nationals, such type of the citizens of the country, the poet demands to God that should be in this country, where the mind is led forward by thee. Thee means you. Thee means you. Ever widening thought and action. He also urges, he also requires the God that the people, the nation, or the people of this nation should be led forward by him only, the God only, and they should be provided good thoughts, their actions should be good and excellent, there should not be any kind of bad habit in the citizens of this nation. They should have the logical mind, they should have the logical idea, they should not believe in the orthodox and superstitious things. Into that heaven of freedom, my father refers to God. My father refers to God. Let my country awake. He, at last, the poet demands, the poet asks the God, the Almighty, that in this way, if the country will be free and it will be the freedom in the heaven, the nation would definitely become like a heaven. He requires the God, right? So this is the brief explanation. This was the explanation of this poem. Now we will learn the literary devices. So now we will know the literary devices or figures of speech used in this poem. So first of all, we should know what the figures of or literary devices are. It means to switch from ordinary language to create an emphasis. Poets, authors and writers use literary devices to create an emphasis over the reader's minds, right? So here the poet Rabindranath Tagore had used so many literary devices. They are alliteration, metaphor, personification, irony and enjambment. So we will know about these literary devices one by one. So let's start from here. The first literary device he has used, that is alliteration. Alliteration means repetition of the same word or sound in the beginning. Repetition of the same not word, same letter in the beginning of the word. You can see the example of alliteration. Head is held high. So here you can see the letter H is repeated. H is repeated. So therefore the literary device is alliteration. As I have told you, alliteration means the repetition of same letter or sound in the beginning of word. One more thing you have to keep in your mind, that sound is always consonant, that letter is always consonant. Dreary, desert, sand of highway. So here you can see the letter D is repeated. So therefore the literary device is alliteration. Next, metaphor. Metaphor means it is also known as an implied simile. Simile is another literary device in which the comparison is done between two different objects by using words like, as, and so. In metaphor, we do the comparison between two different objects without using words like and so. So it is known as an implied simile, and comparison between two different objects is done in metaphor. Or metaphor is also when the words or sentences are written but they are not applicable there, they give the other meaning, so that is also a metaphor. Here you can see broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. So it is here the narrow thinking of the man, the narrow thinking of citizens of this country had been compared to the domestic walls. And these domestic walls are not visible, they are not physical, they are not made of brick and cement, rather they are the creation of the narrow-mindedness of the man. They are like castes, differentiation or discrimination on the basis of caste, religion, creed. So here the poet is talking about the domestic walls, so they are the metaphor for the narrow-mindedness, narrow thinking. Other example is clear stream of reason. It is the metaphor for the logical thinking. Which here the poet says that the man, the people should get rid of the superstitions, superstitious beliefs. They should have the logical mind and they should do the things according to that. So this clear stream of reason is the metaphor for logical thinking, logical mind, right? Okay, the other literary device is personification. In personification, non-human or non-living things are given human shape, or in other words we can say in personification the non-living things are treated as living things, or we can say inanimated things are treated as animated things, or we can say they are given the human activity. So here when the poet is saying where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, So here this tireless striving and stretches. This has been given the human shape. It could not have the arms. Only the humans can have the arms. So this idea has been personified here by the poet. So therefore the literary device is personification. In the other example of personification, when the poet is saying, let my country awake. Country is a non-human thing. Can it sleep? Can it awake? No. So here the country has been personified, and so therefore the literary device is personification. In the other example of literary device, when the poet is saying the irony. Irony means opposite of what is said or written. So the poet is saying here, mind is without, where mind is without fear. Mind without fear. It is the opposite, means the people are living under fear, they are afraid, so their mind is not without fear. Knowledge is free. At that time, knowledge was not free. The people of this country, the citizens of this country were not free to obtain knowledge like today. So these terms have been used ironically. From depth of truth. At that time, people were hesitating to speak truth. So these are the examples of irony. Next example is enjambment. Other literary device is enjambment, means continuation of sentence without any pause. Means the sentence is continued. So this poem, basically it is divided in stanzas, lines, but it is written in a single sentence. It is, mind it is written in a single sentence. So therefore it is written in the enjambment. Enjambment means continuation of the sentence beyond the couplet, stanzas, etc. So I hope that you might understand this poem, and I am 100% sure that you will get something from this poem. Okay, thank you so much.